It wouldn't be a Manson tour without protesters. The Me Too cult is like the new Westboro Baptist cult.
A couple of days ago, Dr. Cashman has started posting maniacally, frantically about Marilyn Manson, several different posts within a 24-hour period. And her first post was this: shame on Five Finger Death Punch, they're touring with Manson. Shame on Five Finger Death Punch and the music industry for giving serial predator Brian Warner, goes by Marilyn Manson, a pass. See you in Anaheim, Brian. Join us in protesting outside his Anaheim show on Friday. Stand with survivors. Now, what I thought was hilarious about this is that for a whole 24 hours, she only got 7 likes on this. And she definitely got majorly ratioed by Manson fans. And then that was enough for her, because then the next day she posted again. Then she posted some nobody who also was talking about this protest. She reposted that person. None of this stuff is getting likes. Her repost got 8 likes. And then she posted again and she said, hey, Five Finger Death Punch, you can't sober up from being a rapist. I stand with survivors. And of course, that got 11 likes. So I'm curious, are you surprised that there are going to be some protests? And do you think these will be significant Columbine level protests?
It wouldn't be a Manson tour without protesters. The Me Too cult is like the new Westboro Baptist cult. What happens, I think, with a lot of them, it doesn't matter how significant they are in real life. The people who hate Manson in the media will use those images of protesters and then inflate them into being something big. Like, look at all these feminists or these protesters at Manson. It doesn't matter. Like, the protesters only help, and Manson eats it up. I mean, not like he loves it. If I were him, I would make a shirt of Evan Rachel Wood that said Super Predator and sell it. I know that's probably not the best idea, but I might do that myself. But it doesn't matter if there's like 3 or 4 people protesting. The people that want him to fail will use that against him. But as he comes back, and it's a successful comeback, that will make the people who hate him angrier, and they'll show up, and it'll do nothing. They will have no impact on anything.
Right. Well, I mean, I've always been of the opinion that in some ways, the more bad press that he gets through this, it's kind of, to me, it's a gain, or it's a benefit, because it'll get more people paying attention to him.
Right.
And so I know that there's always a limit to that. And it's true that there's bad press that's just bad press. And obviously when he was first canceled and what was going on for that first year or two, it was just him getting just completely, slaughtered by all of these terrible stories and accusers coming forward and stuff. But I really think that moment has passed. People are sick of Me Too. People have become, thanks to Amber Heard and others, very skeptical of these stories. And I think that a lot of people are going to come to the logical conclusion that if the music industry is willing to let him back in, as it has, he's now being platformed on Spotify, on iTunes, he's doing major tours, he's working with major industry people. If they're willing to let him back in, then maybe it's because there really is nothing to the allegations, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
And so I think at this point, it's actually a bonus or a plus if he gets some protesters. And I know that his detractors thought that it would be the death knell of his career. But in fact, I think it's the opposite.
Yeah. But I think another thing people aren't expecting, especially from the media and his haters, is that the fans that have been with him since Mechanical Animals or Hollywood, like post Columbine, we've developed an immune system where like the Me Too stuff doesn't work. So if you have a big fan base, everyone who's saying he's irrelevant now, he's not going to be successful, it's like a lot of his fans have seen this in real time. We inherited a world where like the media turned on an artist you like and tried telling you as someone that he's not. And so we saw the whole thing play out again with, everything that went down the past few years. So that's why I think a lot of this stuff is so, like, the hate is so irrelevant. It's not going to go anywhere, and I keep feeling Hollywood vibes. And he said that recently on one of his shows. He said they tried to kill me before. And last time they tried to kill me, I made a record called Hollywood. And we're in Hollywood territory once again, which is exciting.
Right. You make a good point too about how the media can take a small group of protesters and
Mhm.
can make them seem much larger and more influential than they really are. And that was something that I saw with the protests that occurred with Rammstein
Yeah.
when they went on their tour after all of the fake controversy and outrage that the German media and the international media tried to produce against them with that Me Too hoax. There was a lot of coverage of these protests that were occurring at Rammstein shows. And, oh, you know, women are outraged that Till Lindemann is being allowed to continue performing at these big venues. And then you would see media reports of these protests. And what happens is they will zero in on the most crowded section of the protest, or they will zero in on a few protesters to make it look like, to give us the sense that it's a much larger group. When in fact, I talked to a number of people there who said that the protests were pitiful. There were
Mhm.
hardly any people there. And that's what this looks like it's going to be, this Caroline Heldman's Anaheim protest. It's looking like it's probably going to be maybe tens of people that she's able to bus in from LA, because nobody in Anaheim, look, I know Anaheim, you know Anaheim, they don't have a lot of leftist activists in that, in that city. So I'm sure, you know, LA is an hour away. I'm sure this woman is going to be busing in some protesters, but I would be very shocked if they get more than 50 people to show up and protest Manson. But of course, the media will focus on that group and will make it seem like there were all of these protesters showing up.
That's all they do. So they do it to politicians all the time. Everything's out of context, and then
Right.
they recontextualize it to sell you the narrative that they want you to believe in.
Right. Right. Absolutely.